How students can take some responsibility in reducing their own stress.
Ultimately, we are talking about the keeping a balance between a goal.
Or the responsibility is the first thing that they need to do.
Being a teenager, ma'am, I think students face difficulty to decide what is wrong and what is right for them.
Managing your time can go a very, very long way.
What are the some strategy that the student can use to manage their time effectively?
Prioritization needs to be reviewed on a daily basis.
Time, when managed well, can guide us in balancing the demands of the school, personal growth, and leisure. On this note, I would like to welcome you all on the third episode of the series Nestham, where we'll be discussing about the time management and balancing schoolwork with personal life. We have with us Kanak Durga Kalidindi ma'am. She is a senior counselor and team lead at the Student Wellbeing Services at Sri Chaitanya Educational Institution. So my name is Akshay Arora and I would like to welcome you all in this session. Ma'am, good morning and welcome to this session in which we are discussing about the time management and balancing schoolwork with a personal life. Ma'am, we met in the last two episodes where we discussed about the team Nestham. As well as I remember in the last session, we had a very large discussion on the reducing the amount of the stress in the student life. Yes. And how parents play an important role in that.
Yes.
So what are we going today?
Okay, so today we will shift our focus a little bit from all the stress. Obviously, we are still going to talk about stress, but how students can take some responsibility in reducing their own stress by mastering some skills which will help them in reducing the stress. Okay, so what we observe is that there are lots of things that we do on a daily basis. So let's stick to the topic of students. Students have multiple things to do, right? They have studies, they have classrooms to attend, they have assignments, and they have projects to do, and many more things, and most importantly the exams that are continuously happening. So academics is one thing, and then again they have their personal life as well. So they have friends, they have families, and so many other things that are there. So how can somebody balance all these things without feeling too much stress? Okay, stress is taken. We will, I think, agree on that. There will be some kind of stress, no doubt about it. But how can somebody deal with the stress and still continue to do everything and give it their best?
Ultimately, we are talking about the keeping a balance between a goal. Yes. As well as the personal life.
Yes. Yes.
All absolutely. Right. That's great. Yeah. So in the last episode, ma'am, we talked about how parents can help children in dealing with stress. While all the support may be there, the fact remains the same that the student has to handle both schoolwork as well as their personal life. What can students do proactively to handle such stress and feelings overwhelmed?
So, like we talked earlier, the first thing is shift in responsibility. Students need to understand the study responsibility, the academic responsibility that they have. So they have taken it on as a the study is part of their career growth or whatever they want to do in their life. So that ownership of responsibility or the responsibility is the first thing that they need to do, and then realize that there will be multiple things that they'll be handling at the same time. So first of all, understanding the fact that there are multiple things I'm going to do at this point of time, but I have some responsibility in how I manage these things. Okay, so it can be very overwhelming. It can be, especially at an adolescent age, I think it can be very overwhelming that you are handling multiple things.
Absolutely, ma'am.
Yeah. My take on this is that once you master certain skills, especially that of how to manage your time productively, in this session I think we are going to repeatedly talk about how you can manage your time and how you can fit in so many things in the 24 hours that you have in a day. and then also mastering the skills of certain skills that may be additional, like not everybody can master skills of mindfulness and meditation, but these will be pluses to have. Okay. Along with that, having this thing of physical activity on a regular basis. Because when you do some kind of even a short bit of a walk, it relieves your stress.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So including physical activity on a regular basis is one thing. Another important skill to develop for adolescents would be developing the skills of being assertive. Okay. One of the reasons for stress is that students are not able to stop everything coming their way. Could be like an invitation from a friend for a birthday party,
Absolutely.
or like to go to a movie or something on those lines, the fun things that they're not able to resist. So or somebody saying, I don't know this topic, can you help me with this topic? Even if somebody has something else to do, they may agree to help that person in all
Absolutely.
good, with good intentions. However, having that ability to say no at some times is very useful. So setting those boundaries and saying, this is how much time I have and this is how much I can do in a day.
Yeah.
So being a little bit selfish, I would say, sometimes is necessary
Absolutely.
to be able to sort of do everything that you want to do.
Being a teenager, ma'am, I think students face difficulty to decide what is wrong and what is right for them. Say this actually let them take sometimes wrong decisions in their life, and they end up with wasting their time.
Yes.
And that's create a panic at the time of their examination, that they have a lot of things to do and the time is very less.
Yes.
So basically, because of this panic, they develop a stress at the last stage of the examination,
Yeah.
and they're not able to perform anyway.
Mm.
So we had to create a balance, ma'am. A balance will not be created automatically. There are some changes in the habits that we need to develop.
Absolutely.
And it's not about one day habit, ma'am. I think it's prolonged.
Yeah, it's about developing good habits, leaving behind some habits that are not useful for them anymore, and creating that, learning new skills mainly, which are, like I said, I'm going to repeat myself quite a bit this time. Managing your time can go a very, very long way. It's going to stay with you for a lifetime. So
Absolutely,
this
ma'am.
skill is something that all students must understand and develop, because it's a skill,
Absolutely.
and it can be learned, it can be enhanced, it can be perfected. So the more you learn about time management skills, the better it will be for you, even when you are in your working life. And it helps you balance your family life along with your work. So this is the age to pick up that skill.
Absolutely.
Both assertiveness as well as time management skills are soft skills, as we call them, which are transferable and are useful in any sphere of your life.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the main objective is to student has to develop the skills.
Yes.
And ma'am, like who would be guiding along this path? Like a parents has to play a role for that, and as well as the academician has to
Yes.
play.
See, once they are in colleges, a lot of their time is already scheduled for. One of the
Absolutely.
most important things in time management is learning how to plan. Okay, the most important things is to make a list of things to do in a day, on a daily basis. Say, okay, these are the things I need to do today. These are the things I want to accomplish. Okay, so it involves a bit of organizing and planning on the part of the person, and that's an easy skill to learn. Okay, so just sit down, take a paper and pen, write down everything that you want to do in a day. Okay, it should also include activities like relaxation activities. Okay, something for yourself as well. Okay, so once you have a list of things to do, then the next step is to see what is important, what is urgent that needs to be done. And so there is a very well-known matrix. It's called the Eisenhower matrix: urgent, important, not urgent, not important.
Okay.
So once you know how to draw that quadrant, it's easy to put your tasks in those quadrants and see, okay, what is urgent, what is important, what is not so important, what's not important at all.
Basically, it
Okay.
is a scheduling task according
It's
to
a
the
scheduling.
priority.
Yes. So once you learn to do this manually, there are many apps that can support you as well. Okay.
Absolutely, ma'am.
Yeah. So, but I would encourage students to actually write it down, because it's a skill that will, if you leave it to the app, you will never learn the skill.
Time is of essence and it is very precious, ma'am. What are the some strategy that the student can use to manage their time effectively, and they should also enhance productivity?
Okay. So, first of all, make a list of everything that you need to do. Yeah. Look at what is the bigger aspects of it. Okay, if there'll be big tasks, there'll be smaller tasks. So when you know which one needs to be tackled first, prioritize your schedule accordingly. So attend to the most urgent and most important ones. Okay, which need to be done there and then. But again, um, a lot of students, like you said earlier, leave things till the last minute, and then everything becomes urgent and everything becomes important.
A situation of panic is
Yes.
created.
So a lot of planning is required to sort of, keep ahead of your study schedules. It is important that the students start planning from day one as to what they want to study and how they want to study. So once that schedule and prioritization of task is done, and that prioritization needs to be reviewed on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
Or a
ma'am.
weekly basis, to review what needs to be done today. So what is the schedule for today? If it is not done, it becomes urgent for tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
So you have to keep reviewing your daily schedules so that you are able to understand where you are sort of not doing what you're supposed to do. So with a little bit of practice, they will understand how they can prioritize their time and their tasks accordingly. If there is a big thing to be done, it needs to be broken down into smaller pieces.
Absolutely, ma'am.
That is the reason why a lot of people procrastinate, because they see something as a whole.
Yeah.
And when that big thing appears to them, it becomes very difficult. And that is why they say, okay, let me put this off for now, I'll do it later. And they keep putting it off for till the time it becomes really urgent and they can't break it.
Yeah.
Okay. So very important that if you have a big task to do, break it into smaller pieces, and it becomes easier. Sub goals, very easy. Yeah. And the goals reminds me that you must set up your goals. That's very important. So you need to have a daily goal as to what you're going to do, how you're going to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Basically, the very first thing that you talk about is creating the list of the work and scheduling them and working them. And the most important part is, ma'am, review. Because on the basis of review, we'll be able to know that this particular task we have completed and this is to be done and has to be prioritized on the next day. I got everything, ma'am. So this is how we can increase the productivity and we can use the time effectively. My question is, ma'am, like at Sri Chaitanya ecosystem, we used to deal generally with the students which are in the pedagogy. They are teenagers, ma'am, and there is a lot of harmonic change in the body. They have a behavior changes, and physically also they feel change. And ma'am, they are not mature enough to handle all these things. So, like, if I say that everything you have to manage, like there should be some reviewer on them.
Yeah.
Being a parent, being a teacher, every day a reviewer should also be assigned with a student, so that
It will definitely help if somebody is supervising and sort of helping them through. I would not call them a supervisor, because then that puts them in a very a position where they are not in control. Yeah. I would prefer to have a peer review. So, like, amongst friends, they say, okay, you review mine, I review yours. So, a peer review system can be really good, where they're supporting each other. Yeah.
Good idea,
And definitely, if they're still struggling, asking a mentor or a lecturer to help them through the process,
Yeah.
Or we have counseling teams on all campuses.
Yeah.
Talk to a counselor, they'll be able to help you.
Yeah.
So we have Nestham team for that same purpose, so that we can support students when they're struggling with these extra things, So getting that support will be very useful for them. So understanding the support that they have on ground, whether it is their peers, whether it is their lecturers, whether it's their parents, the counselors, these are all the ecosystem that is around these students, and they should take advantage of these things.
Absolutely.
And that will help them to become more confident in what they're doing as well. So
Yeah.
knowing that there is support system, using that support system will also be very useful.
Yeah, and ma'am, with the help of these outputs that we are generating with the help of a review system, that will help us to gain the maturity in the student's mind. Like the
Yeah.
more feedback they get, that what is wrong for them, what is right for them, the more mature they
Absolutely.
become.
Absolutely,
And
yeah. So they may make a mistake once, but once they learn, when it's reviewed, they will be in a better position to sort of improvise on those.
yeah, and developing, ma'am, time management skill is a journey, ma'am. It is not
It is.
a
We
beginning, and
still
it is
struggle.
there is no end for that.
Yes, we
Yeah.
still struggle with time management.
Absolutely, ma'am.
Yeah,
Got it, ma'am. My next question to you is: how can student learn to prioritize tasks when they have multiple assignments? So how
It's
to?
not an easy task. Let
Yeah.
me first say that. I'll put it out there that it's not definitely easy.
Yeah.
Again, like I said earlier, we have to understand what is most urgent, what is most important. So let's say you have all these things to do, but you have a physics exam tomorrow. Okay, then physics becomes your priority. Okay, so you have to set that up as a priority and start working on that first. Okay?
Absolutely.
Give each one a time slot. So you have to block your times for each subject. You have to give it that kind of time. And while studying, most important is to sort of remove all distractions that are there. Okay, when you are because it's easy to wander when you are studying.
A lot of distractions are there in
Lot of
student life.
distractions are there. So technology management, as we call it, we need to understand that either turn off all your notifications and leave your phones out, or keep your phone completely out of the room where you're studying.
Yeah, this has to be done.
Organize your study material, most important. So if you're going to study chapter 11, then make sure that you have all the questions for chapter 11 or whatever you're studying at that point of time. So organize your material. So it may take extra 5 minutes, but it's useful.
This is something we say, ma'am, being a teacher, a smart study is needed
Yeah.
at the last hour.
Yeah. So you have to highlight the important questions. You have to highlight the important points that are there. So in your study material, always make highlights so that it's visible to you immediately. So that effect is there. So okay, this is what I need to, and it's a reminder to you constantly. So first of all, understand what is your priority for that day or that week is going to be. Focus on that. So when you're focusing, there is a 5-minute rule. Okay, for especially this works for people who do a lot of procrastination. So what we ask them is to focus on one thing for 5 minutes and just 5 minutes at that point of time. So if you're learning ABCD, okay, just do ABCD for 5 minutes. Don't do anything else. Okay, so just focus on that 5 minutes and then slowly increase the time from 5 to 7 minutes, 7 to 8 minutes. So slowly you can increase your attention. Okay. Also, when you're prioritizing, it's very important to tick off the things that you have done, because that gives you a sense of achievement. Okay?
Absolutely.
If you're doing, if you finish physics, tick it off. Okay, so you will physically see that you have done it and you have ticked it off.
Absolutely.
And that makes you feel comfortable, gives you a little bit of confidence. Okay, I've done one, Abhi, now I can move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Okay, so otherwise you keep going back to it. So once you're finished, don't go back to it at all. Even if you get something suddenly comes up in your head, don't go back to it at that point of time. You have to make sure that you finish all the other tasks and then go to that.
Absolutely, ma'am.
Yeah.
So basically, ma'am, I also used to generate an example in the class while teaching. So suppose I want to travel from Hyderabad to Bangalore, and on the highways while I'm traveling this 600 kilometers journey, so I'll find various milestones. So Bangalore 500 kilometer, Bangalore 400 kilometer, Bangalore 300 kilometer. So I also used to say my students that like split the entire topic into several milestones.
Yeah.
And for every achievement of milestone, you'll have a percentage of the journey being completed.
Yeah.
That 10% of my journey is completing, and that will be certainly it will be rewarding for you.
Mm-hmm.
That now 50% is done, remaining 50 is remaining. Now 80 is done, remaining 20 is remaining, and you'll be having a calculated figure for that.
Yeah.
That this much is to be done, and this is like this is actually I have done, and this is to be done. So I think that will help you. And the same example, ma'am, you quoted. Thank you for enlightening me. So, ma'am, can you share any routine or habit that can help students stay organized throughout the school year?
So organizing means organizing the room you're sitting and studying. Like, it could be just the desk that you're setting up for studying. So, you have your textbooks on one side, you have your notebooks, you have your paper, pen, eraser, everything that you need to study. Okay.
That should be well organized.
Yeah, it should be very well organized.
Clean.
So that, and it should be clean.
Yeah.
Absolutely important. That it should give you the feel of wanting to go to the table.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Positivity is required.
It has to be a positive one. So it helps to have maybe a plant or a flower vase or something that is pleasing to your eye when you're sitting on that table. Okay.
Yeah.
A clutter always creates anxiety.
Yes.
So when there is a clutter of books and we are not able to find your pens, you're not able to find your notebooks, then it sort of builds that anxiety. Where did I drop this? Where I can't find this, I can't find that, So being organized is very, very important, and it should be reviewed regularly, because when you're sitting down, you're obviously going to use them, but learn to put it back where it belongs so that you can reach to it very easily.
Yeah.
So planning ahead of your calendar, so when the exams are. So plan backwards. Okay, this is what I need to do. This is how much I need to study, and accordingly keep planning, reviewing your plan from time to time, prioritizing according to the schedules that you have. So where there is a deadline, you have to act accordingly.
Absolutely.
So keeping those things on a regular basis. Taking self-care, most important for students. Taking breaks, very important. Otherwise, they get overwhelmed and saying, okay, this is what I'm doing day in and day out. So taking enough breaks, taking enough self-care, and being organized, prioritizing, all these things are habits that they need to develop so that, 2 years of their study, they know it will go smoothly.
Yeah.
Okay. So instead of feeling overwhelmed, overburdened, it's better to be organized, prepared, than struggle towards the end.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, when the goal is very much far, suppose we are starting preparation of JEE in the grade 11th, and goal is 2 years ahead. So to maintain a consistency for these 2 years is very tough for the students, and ma'am, they actually land up into a different direction, which has nothing to do with the JEE or NEET journey.
Okay.
So that actually degrades their performance in the assessments also. So, ma'am, I think that milestones are really important
Yes, so
to be created.
You have a larger picture. Okay,
Yeah.
JEE Mains is JEE Advance is your target. Okay, but then to reach the target, you have to set sub goals.
Yeah.
Okay, the sub goals are what you need to focus on.
Absolutely.
Okay, not on the target. The target will stay there. It's not going to move. But your sub goals and goals keep moving according to what you're doing.
And that is the reason, ma'am, we every Saturday or Sunday there is a test for the students, so that they get engaged into it. They do not get distracted in between.
Yeah.
And if
And
they
also
have
the
given
more-
the time, they would have distracted.
The more you read and it stays in your memory, it's easier to recall at the end when it is required to recall. So it's always necessary to have that. It keeps you in checks. So sometimes otherwise, a chapter that you may have learned now, you may not remember towards the end of the exam. So if you have repetitive exams, it sort of sets a rhythm, and you will know that these are the things that are important.
Yeah.
As well.
Ma'am, I also want to point out that like in this modern era, and if we see the drawing room of every home, it is well suited, well created, systematically arranged, and a lot of positivity is there so that they can welcome the guest. And if in the same home, if I see the child's room, so it is totally messed up. I do not like. I try to understand what exactly is the problem. Sometimes parents feel that they should not disturb the privacy of their child, and even the child also want that the parent should not enter into its room. So like how we need to train and how we need to have the settlement, because see, hygiene is very important, ma'am, for the students. and we have to develop a habit where we need to be systematically arrange clean and things
Yeah.
in our room.
Yeah.
So I think a proper cleanliness is required in the student's room,
Yes,
basically.
definitely. Yeah. Wherever the student or the child is, they have to learn to keep their surroundings clean and tidy, and they should take pride in that. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
So what's happening is that students now, or the younger generation, the adolescents, really don't think too much about it. They are postponing things because they don't see the importance of it at this point of time.
Yeah.
And they feel that I'll do it. It's a 5-minute job. I'll do it later.
And there is no direct output associated from
Yeah.
this task, ma'am.
Yeah.
So that's why.
That is one thing. So I'm not saying that parents should always reward for small things or whatever, because I believe more that people should take responsibility
Yeah.
in what they do. And I definitely feel that one way of doing it is to encourage children to participate in the cleaning up of the entire house, like, in whatever small chores that they can help with. So whether it is, so it's a matter of grooming the child to become a complete overall holistic person.
Yeah.
Where they're learning to, just because they're studying, it doesn't mean that they cannot help in the house. So if the child is involved in all those things right from the beginning, it becomes a matter of a habit for them.
Parent-child engagement is required here.
Important, yeah, definitely, yeah.
So that's the reason. And ma'am, teenagers, I don't know why they want privacy these days. They're not
Everybody wants
allowing.
privacy.
Yeah.
I definitely
Even to
feel-
this level, ma'am, they're not allowing their parents to come into their room.
Yeah.
So I feel that's not good. And sometimes it is okay, but yeah,
we
not
have to
every time.
respect what the child wants at the end of the day. I think if we are going to raise our children in today's world, we have to help them live in this today's world.
Yeah.
So I think to some extent we have to understand what their needs are, and we have to allow certain things for them as well.
Yeah.
So I don't see wanting privacy in itself is bad.
Okay.
What is probably not so good is if there is no communication at home. And if there is no openness in the house, where the parents or the siblings are not open in communication, so that is where the problem is, more than the child wanting. So if you say, if a child says, "Mom, I don't want to discuss it at this point of time," I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
Give them some time and they'll be fine, and probably say, "Okay, we'll discuss when you're ready." So I guess having that open conversations with children is very important.
Really, ma'am. My next question is, what advice would you give to someone who struggles with procrastination in their academic responsibilities?
What is procrastination? First, let's look at that. Procrastination is nothing but putting off something. Okay, so we have to understand why somebody puts off something. Okay, either it is they feel that it's a very easy task, I can do it later, it's not urgent for me. Okay, I can do it whenever I want, I will do it. Okay, so the task is either not challenging enough for them, not interesting. Okay, or it's possible that the task is too challenging, too difficult to handle.
Both ways.
So they may think, okay, I cannot handle it right now, it's difficult, I'll look at it later.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to understand where the procrastination is coming from.
Okay.
So if the child is struggling because there is not enough challenge, we have to sort of
increase the challenge.
So and if the child is struggling because it's too difficult, we have to make sure that the difficult task is done first. Okay. And the best way to do it is, again, to break it down into smaller, easier pieces to understand.
Absolutely.
Okay? So if you see a big puzzle, it's like, like 1,000, 5,000 piece puzzles. Have you ever done those?
Yeah. I remember.
So it feels like, oh my God, we can't do this. It's too difficult.
Yeah.
Okay. So piece by piece you put together, and then you will realize that, you're actually giving it a really nice outcome.
Right? Beginning is tough.
Beginning is always tough. So if they can use that 5-minute rule in the beginning and say, okay, let me focus. let me do this. So first break it down into smaller pieces, focus on one thing for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then once they get the grasp of it, other things seem easier.
Absolutely,
So
ma'am.
that's one way of getting over your procrastination.
It would be painful for the first 7 days, I think, but
Yes,
yeah,
and
as soon as
also,
the habit develops, we'll
yeah,
be able to.
and most importantly, procrastination itself can be dealt with by having a proper schedule. Okay, so if you fit in that difficult task during your day, anytime, whatever it is, okay, preferably when you are more active, more energetic, when you are ready to take on a challenge.
Yes.
So fitting it in that calendar or your timetable is very important. Okay, so the most important thing for students, in my opinion, is to have a proper timetable, following through with the timetable. Make sure that you are actually doing, even if it is like, if you have given half an hour for
Yeah.
something, give 20 minutes for that. If you cannot do the half an hour, at least do 20 minutes, take a break, that's fine. Okay, so when you're making your timetable, make sure that you're giving short breaks between your study time or your lesson plans or whatever it is. Ensure that you have 2-3 minutes in between every half an hour, 40 minutes. It's called the Pomodoro technique,
Yeah.
where after every 25 minutes you take a short break of 5 minutes. So that makes you half an hour. So your timetable should be divided into half-hour schedules, because your attention span is not more than 40 minutes at that age. Okay,
Got it.
so to settle down, study, and sort of take a short break, a total of 40-45 minutes schedule is what we require.
All right. And ma'am, most important, you pointed many times, a break is really important while we are scheduling. And the technique also you recently discussed. So how to utilize the break time? This is also
Okay,
very
so
important.
most importantly, get up from your place. Okay, don't sit down in the same place, take a short walk and come back. You're giving yourself some energy while walking. Okay, you're getting deep fresh air if possible. If not possible, then move away from where you are, go somewhere else, take a few deep breaths, drink some water. Okay, stretch, very important, doing some small stretches, like whether you're, because when you're studying, your neck, your shoulders, your back, everything becomes stiff,
Yeah.
so the blood flow is becomes restricted, so you need to ensure that you're moving your neck, your shoulders. Okay, short breaks like this, which will sort of rotate your shoulders a little bit.
Small physical
Small
activity.
physical activities. Okay, close your eyes for 2 minutes and then you feel refreshed.
Yeah, I've seen some students, ma'am, they used to buy the breaks, basically not taking the breaks by themselves, but they're buying the breaks from their parents because the parents they're overhead and they have to study for 2 hours prolonged. But now they're not able to study, so they buy the breaks from their parents.
Okay.
So please allow us to watch the Netflix series for half an hour. So
Um,
is this a perfect way to
well,
use this break?
I would not say the short breaks, the 5 minute breaks is not the right time to watch TV or anything. Okay. The short break, so an adolescent can easily sit for 3-4 hours to study. Okay. With short breaks in between.
Yeah.
Okay. At the end of your study cycle, okay, when you have finished everything, that's when you can take that half an hour, 40 minutes to relax. Okay,
Okay.
that's a big relaxation time. Okay, in between is just short breaks to refresh yourself. That's all you can do.
All
You
right.
should do,
Ma'am, so
because
and do you think that when these TV will help us or screen time will help us to reduce the amount of the stress during these breaks, or there should be some sports activity, physical activity,
see,
roaming
it all
around?
depends. See, practically, when a student comes back home from college or whatever, it is about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening. After
Yeah.
that, they sit for another 3 hours to study. Okay, and then by then the sports activities time is over. So practically speaking, they cannot do any of those things.
Yeah.
But they can definitely engage, if TV is not the best way to do it. Have a family activity. They can play a board game together with the families. If
Yeah.
so that will be the time when they can connect with the family, and sort of relax, laugh a little bit, do some fun activities together if that's possible, if they can do that. If not, watching TV for half an hour through the day is not really bad.
Okay.
It's okay. It will sort of, take their mind off all the stress. It's fine. As long as you're not watching unwanted, material on whether it's your gadgets or whatever it is. So, watching a fun serial to sort of, a comedy show is fine.
Yeah. So that can make them relax.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, ma'am.
But then
So,
they have to again put it in their schedule and say, okay, 40 minutes is my TV time. I'm going to watch TV. After that, they have to switch off, go and sleep.
yeah.
So, everything, including their meals, their short breaks, their TV time, and their sleep time, has to be scheduled.
So my questions are over, ma'am, but I want, like, if someone is at the last of this video and they haven't seen the first part, they want the quick conclusion that what is being discussed in this podcast. So I want you to quickly summarize that what we have discussed in today's session.
So, for students, my advice is that time management is of essence. Every student needs to understand how to plan, organize, schedule their times, take time to do self care, relax, and be on top of all the activities that they have scheduled for themselves. So, time management is a wonderful skill, and it can be learned, it can be practiced, and it should be learned by everybody, because that's what because time, we have only 24 hours in a day and we have multiple tasks to do. So how to fit all those tasks in a day is all about time management.
Great, ma'am. Good insights that we have in this podcast series third of the Nestham. And we discuss about the time management, and this really plays a important role in the student success. And this is a very important point that the student has to make sure while managing everything. They had to keep time management also up on the top of the priority list. Moreover, I would also say to everything there is a season, a time to laugh, a time to learn, a balance found in rhythm, and a reason with focus and rest. Success will be on. So, student, for this session, I would like to conclude that we need to work on the plannings. We need to review the plannings. We need to award us throughout the journey. And yes, this rewarding journey will help you to build a time management schedule, and automatically this will help you to get the good marks in your assessment. So this was all about today's session. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us and the students and giving us good insights about the time management. And we'll make sure that we'll come up with the new interesting topics in the future as well, where we'll be discussing how the students had to work on the, other than the academic part, how they need to work on their life skills, and so that they can be successful throughout their life journey. So this is all about today's session. Thank you.